it's me, Erin. Thanks for joining us on the More Love podcast. Do not tell Rebecca, but this podcast is about empathy. She likes people to think she's dead inside, but the truth is she's a big-time feeler who has truly helped me uncover that empathy is my superpower. Oh, here she comes.
Hey, bestie.
Hi, love.
What are you doing?
Oh, just getting ready to host a podcast.
A podcast? About what?
Our life as best friends who are more like sisters.
Ah, yay! I love us, and I can't wait to share our stories with the world.
Especially the ones that involve us pushing each other, right? To be our most authentic selves.
Oh, man. Okay.
We have to start with an empathy problem today.
Okay.
It happened last night.
Last night?
Yep, it happened last night. And I can't wait to hear what your thought is going to be on this.
Okay.
Have you heard about the woman that got eaten by the alligator in Florida?
Oh, I briefly, well, of course, you were obsessed with alligators. So I'm sure it came right up. But I saw something about they found her in his mouth, and then didn't they kill the alligator?
Yeah.
See, I didn't read the article. I just insinuated all that from looking at her picture.
Oh, what do you mean her picture? Like her arm hanging out of the alligator's mouth? Or
No, they did like a bubble of her, what she would have looked like.
Yeah. So much to unpack here. Okay, this is what we're starting with is an empathy problem. Because I had poor Mark talking about this, no joke, for 45 minutes last night.
Okay.
So we find out about the alligator. This woman she's just this tiny little bit of a thing. She's had to have been like 100 pounds. She was so tiny. And she got eaten by this like 10 plus foot alligator in Florida. Look at your face. What, you're upset about the alligator or what? Okay. I know you have all the thoughts right now.
Keeping it in.
Okay. Cannot wait to hear. Okay.
But I did not read the article, just be clear.
Okay.
So you have to
Good.
give me correct information or I'm going to make a lot of assumptions.
Okay. I'm going to give you the most information I possibly can.
Okay.
So they're talking about how this poor woman got eaten by this alligator. Oh, thank you, Scott. That's why you go to Rock Fox for the extra production. Scott, did you hear about this?
No.
Oh,
What?
good.
You didn't hear any? Okay, good.
No,
good.
I'm riveted because I grew up dodging alligators in Florida. So,
Oh.
For real?
yeah.
So I'm sure he's going to have a lot of opinions.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So basically, this poor woman gets eaten by this alligator. And then the first thing they show on TV is this blurred out spot in like the bottom portion of the screen. And then this huge ass alligator. I'm talking this thing is 10 plus feet.
Okay.
Big. It's huge.
Okay.
So you see this alligator and the alligator's moving, right? Like, and then you see this spot, which is probably, you're assuming, body parts of this poor woman, right? Who's been eaten. And then they start talking about how they have to kill the alligator. So I turn to Mark and I'm like, why do we have to kill the alligator? Alligator's just doing what it instinctually does, right? And very clearly he said, well, we have to be able to identify who the person is. We're not just going to reach inside the alligator's mouth and pull out the pieces. Like we have to open up the alligator to find out who the person is. The person's in its stomach. I thought
So it's blurred out on the floor.
pieces of the person, I'm assuming.
Well, then you can get enough DNA from that.
Okay. So you're
Right?
So you're a proponent of allowing the alligator to live.
100%.
Really?
And can't you just like put sleeping medication in the
Right. Can we
alligator?
trick it?
Yeah. And then do a
don't-
little operation and then sew it back up?
I wondered these things as well, right?
I don't
But
think that they ever let the animal live if it kills a human being.
I think you're right.
why is that, Scott?
You know what? I don't know, but I think that's just the rule.
I think you're right.
When
I mean,
when a dog
it's standard
when
practice.
a dog bites and attacks a person, what do? They put the
They
dog
euthanize
down.
it. Yeah.
If
Doesn't
a
get rehabilitated.
If a lion kills somebody, even in Africa, they go out and they kill the lion.
Right.
If a bear does it, they go out and they kill the bear.
Is that
Right.
fair?
It's not because we're invading their habitat, but apparently humans are
So
superior.
we're-
Remember how I feel about animals?
Damn right.
I know.
Are we clear?
But I'm thinking to myself, okay, so this alligator did what alligators do.
Right. When I'm
This
sure
thing
there was
has
signage,
lived
all the
for
things.
so many years. It's over 10 feet. And then we're like, gonzo.
And alligators
Done.
don't just run up after people and eat them.
Well, I don't
not a thing.
know about that part.
I'm
but
pretty sure that's
I'm
a thing
thinking,
because
They actually can do that.
they can, but they have to be provoked in some way.
Sometimes.
but they're a little sneaky. They're sneaky. So, okay, so Scott, you
Is
think
there
that...
is there any more information about
That's what
the
I need.
situation?
We need some more. Yeah.
Well, that was the first part, was I wanted to know how you felt about that, because I did have feelings about the alligator, and then I felt bad about having feelings about the alligator because this poor woman has lost her life. And so then I felt badly about that, because I'm like, I totally understand that if that was someone I cared about, if your arm's hanging out of a frickin' alligator, I'm going to want the alligator killed too.
But what did she do?
It didn't say what she did, which leads me to the second part. Because I don't know if she did anything, right? They have this poor woman's daughter on the news last night. This is like
Was she
part
old,
2.
an old woman?
She was 41,
Oh, geez.
otherwise known as Rebecca's age. So, and her daughter's like
welcome.
23. Okay. So they have the 23-year-old daughter on TV, and she's just absolutely distraught. Of course she is, right? So then they start talking about how they're saying this woman was so kind and she would have given you the shirt off of her back. And then they start to go into, but she was homeless and she would have given you the last morsel of food off of her plate. And then the news people start saying, despite, well, then they say her name. Well, I can't remember her name. Her having this conviction record of having stolen things from a store. And also, there's this other thing. They start to paint this woman in this really nasty way, right? Despite her having all of those things, right? She was still a really kind person. And then this is where I went off for another 37 minutes to Mark, because I'm like, why do we have to do that to this poor woman who just got eaten by a frickin' alligator? And now, like, what is sacred after someone gets eaten by an alligator? We have to talk about the fact that she was homeless. We got to talk about the fact that she had a drug addiction. We have to talk about the fact that she had a past record.
But this is why she got eaten by the alligator.
Well, it has nothing to do with it.
So-
Why would that
Yeah,
have anything to do? Well, just
it
because
does.
she's homeless?
No,
So,
it's because
can I
she
butt
is
in?
mentally ill or on drugs and didn't realize that you don't do certain things. She did something to get eaten by the alligator.
I'm gonna interject here. Now, I've got an article here that's by the Daily Mail, which take it or leave it.
What is that? Is
Whether or
it like
not-
the Sister of the Onion or what?
No, Daily Mail is the UK kind of rag where it's like the Inquirer kind of thing, but not as bad.
Okay.
Sabrina Peckham, 41, was found in the jaws of an alligator after being dragged by the 14-foot beast into a canal on Friday. Her formal cause of death is yet to be determined, which I think is interesting. But they said 2 months before her death, she was arrested for trespassing on a county wetland just a half mile from where she was
Stop
mauled.
your face.
So she was not where she's supposed to be.
Surprise, surprise. But let's paint this picture that this woman was attacked by this nasty ass alligator.
But like Rebecca said, most of the time, if you're getting eaten by an alligator, you're probably too close to the alligator.
Or
to
you're
begin
doing
with.
something like trying to feed it a beef jerky or something.
We used to feed them marshmallows. I don't know why.
I can't. I
to
Chicken
can't.
wings.
Throw
Scott, I'm just
marshmallows?
curious. Is there ever a time where you're on my side or no? Should I just get used to it
I'm
now?
on nobody's side.
Yeah,
I am-
He's in the middle.
I'm in
Yeah,
the middle.
right.
He's in the
I'm
middle.
a bubble.
No, you might be physically
All I'm
positioned in the
doing is-
middle.
all
I'm the
I'm
one who
doing is-
reviews every one of the podcasts. I'm real clear whose side you're on. I'm just curious. Should I get used to it, or are you
just-
going to fake it at some point and
just-
also be on my side?
All
I
I,
think
do
it's
is
beautiful.
deliver the facts.
Thank you.
I think it's beautiful that what? He's on your side?
No, that you have sympathy, empathy. You want to glorify is not the right word, but you want to celebrate this woman because she died tragically, even though it was probably her fault.
I have mixed feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything you guys discuss, I have mixed feelings. I'm literally in the middle with this.
Of course.
What part do you feel bad about for Sabrina? Scott, why don't you take a moment and
That
tell
she
us that?
died. That's terrible.
Well, of course, I feel bad for her that she died.
In
I'm not,
that kind
I'm
of
not
way,
the kind
too.
of person that says, "Well, she got what was coming to her."
No. Yeah.
I
No,
don't.
I
I
don't
don't
either.
believe that ever.
I agree. It's very sad, but
my-
we need to teach, or we need to properly tell the story and not leave out details.
Did we have to? Cannot. Did we have? Okay, this is my main point. This woman is now deceased
It's very sad.
in a very tragic way.
God rest her soul.
That's right. Do we need to add insult to injury here?
No,
You know,
it's not about
if,
that.
If I go, right? If I go and I happen to be high on some type of drug when I go, are you gonna like make sure that the news doesn't cover? Oh, you know, like what is sacred at that point? Aaron Halligan Avery married 16 times and having 18 children out of wedlock, but she did get eaten by an alligator. You know, like at what point do we
just
not
keep
have
things
to
out?
share? Why? But what does that have to do with anything? Is my point.
there's no
Because it
story
wasn't just
unless
an
they go
average person
into
who's
that.
in good mental health and stability walking on a sidewalk, and out of nowhere, an alligator came out of the canal and bit her leg off. That's a completely different story.
But we have to go into the specifics. Why couldn't we have said something, meaning the news, why couldn't we have said something like, woman with a past history of some mental illness and substance abuse concerns unfortunately gets eaten by an alligator? Why do we have to go into,
We don't.
you know, the specifics? That sensationalism of the news really got to me.
I can
and that's what
understand that.
I couldn't let go.
That's why I
I'm like,
can't
not
say
only
in the
did this
news.
woman get eaten by a freaking alligator, they're talking about her body parts being out of this thing's mouth, right? Then we have to take the alligator out, which I have mixed feelings about. Again, especially if she's traipsing on the wetlands, right? She's in his space.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Right. And then all of a sudden we got to add insult to injury. We have the daughter on who's obviously in a massive state of shock and sadness, right? So she's acting like a typical 23-year-old who's not in a good place, but we love to sensationalize
Yeah,
that.
I don't like
to
that
make
either.
people look, you know, like they're off their rockers, right? And then we like to then re-victimize this woman who got eaten for whatever reason she got eaten. And then we got to go through this woman's whole history, right? Oh, even though she has this past history of this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, do we really have to do that?
Nope.
Can we just have some freaking tact here? There is like, does this come down to what we talk about a lot, which is just people's inability to communicate. You have to be able to say that in such a way that is going to preserve the humanness associated with what happened in this situation. It's terrible.
Yes.
It is terrible, but we don't need to re-villainize this person. And because people have so many opinions, then they're going to be like, oh, so she was probably on drugs. All right, well, that's what happens when you get eaten, right? And that's a good portion in my mind of what's wrong with the world today.
Yeah. I think there is a way to be quote unquote factual, but not
Sensationalized.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I do believe there should be quote unquote facts, but it doesn't need to go into dirty details. It doesn't need to make the person look bad.
Yes.
You can say mental health. Mental health can be anything from anything to anything.
Yes.
You know, you don't, but my point is that it can't be painted that this was a pure accident.
Yes, I'm okay
that's
with
the
that.
only thing.
I'm okay
And
with
she
that.
did not deserve
because then we have a whole
what
other
happened.
problem, right?
Right.
Because then we have a whole bunch of fear around alligators because it sounds like they can just come out of the bog whenever they want to.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
But it just is
should be a
amazing
lesson
to me
learned.
what happens when we change the narrative.
Yeah.
Right? But even if we say something like woman who struggles with mental health issues and has been homeless for a decent period of time, that immediately creates a picture in people's minds about who this woman was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then that's where the judgment comes in.
Of course.
Right? Because the story sounds different if we're like, big time CEO of such and such a company gets eaten by 14-foot alligator, right? And people are like, what?
Right.
What was that? You know what? I'll tell you what, from my time in substance abuse, that CEO is likely has done just as much drugs as the woman who is homeless. But we don't think that.
How about it was either the guy who invented or it was the CEO of the Segway. He was on the Segway and went off a cliff and died. Something like that happened.
And he was the one who created the Segway?
Either that or he was like and it was
Isn't
like...
it ironic?
That's a hell of a segue.
But you're absolutely right. It could be...
Right.
Yeah, we can't assume that because you're a quote unquote professional or because you
Absolutely.
are a lawyer or whatever that you are on the up and up and absolutely a perfect human being.
Absolutely. I just think we need to do better. And we need to have people who are second guessing when they're laying in bed watching the story about the 14-foot alligator. Like, why did we need to go down that path?
I know, well-
and there's so many other ways we could do it.
ratings.
Of course.
Well,
why.
you and I just gained 100 followers from last Thursday's episode.
Oh.
And we ain't doing anything shady. So
okay.
maybe we
Not
can
on
be
the
the
podcast.
example for people about how you can get some damn ratings without having to over sensationalize everything.
So for our next episode, Rebecca's going to stick her foot into a 10-foot alligator.
Right, and let's
we're
see what
gonna
happens.
See what happens.
Right. And
See
then I'm
if
going
it
to make
spits it
sure
out.
that I'm going to characterize you in a really beautiful way.
Thank
that's
you.
still factual,
Thank you.
but does not also include all your deepest, darkest secrets about the worst time in your life.
Yeah.
While your freaking arms hanging out of a freaking alligator's mouth.
I know.
I can't.
I know. It's
So
very
empathy
sad.
problem. My poor husband has to hang with a 45-minute conversation about this alligator and why we needed to kill the alligator and why we needed to talk about this woman in this way and why the 23-year-old has to be sensationalized on TV and all of these things.
Yeah.
Can't just watch freaking TV.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Hashtag empathy problem. So we started with that today. So at least we got our empathy talk out of the
sure
way.
did.
Let's move on to your voodoo hippie shit.
So my daughter's in the studio today, Taylor, and she had a soccer injury the other day, and so she's getting used to wearing a boot. So she is practicing walking around, but we let her do some of the hootie.
Yeah, we're doing some of the
Voodoo
hootie
hippie
picking. The hootie picking today.
So
Yeah. What's
You-
our
oil is-
incense of choice today?
oh, it was the Tree of Life. You picked that one.
Yes, Tree of Life. I
Yeah.
do love the smell of it.
It's a green tea.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
I tend
Did
to
we
gravitate
name-
toward those.
Did we name the mermaid?
Only one person has offered a suggestion.
Ariel.
Ariel. That's it.
Taylor, do you have a suggestion for the mermaid's name? Yeah.
Oh,
She says no.
She said no.
Oh,
good. She's
Taylor's
gonna come up with a voodoo hippie
shit.
Voodoo hippie shit
Yeah,
name.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm all about Shelley.
Oh God.
It's gotta be like,
I can't.
She says it needs to be scary.
it's gotta be
Well,
like scary, but also
I don't blame her.
the voodoo.
Okay, Taylor's on it.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so
but thank you to the person who did offer a name.
yes,
We do ask all the time for people to participate, and nobody gives a shit.
Not
So,
about that thing.
You know,
No,
at
they-
least,
you know.
at least she did.
By the way, in case people are not part of our Facebook, I did put a bunch of information about my hypnotherapist. So,
Just had to move this. I thought it was going to fall off. It's fine. It's fine. Yes.
so if you are interested or want to know more, I'm more than happy to talk about it. In fact, I think one of your friends and I are
Yeah.
going to have a little sit down. So,
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm
Your
excited.
I asked,
hypnotherapist do past lives a regression?
She does that. Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Yep.
Oh my God! Why don't we talk about your past life regression?
It wasn't
Did
with
you
her.
do it?
No, it was not with her. It
I
was
did
with
have a
the
past life
psychic
regression
that we
with her.
went to.
Yes.
Well, I don't want to railroad your episode. So
Oh no,
we'll
you're
talk about
fine.
it another time.
I've always had postpartum came on super, super, super hard for me with Sawyer, and from the moment she was born, I'm to this day still convinced that my husband's going to do something to her. It was very, 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 still is very vivid for me, and so we did a past life
And
regression.
just so we're clear, it's not necessarily intentional. It could
No.
also be accidental.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
this strong
It's just
fear
the strong fear, and he knows
associated
it.
with something.
He thinks it's hilarious.
It's gonna happen.
Yes. Like
Right.
I remember running out one time he was holding her in the kitchen making dinner and I freaking lost my mind. I went in there and I thought he was going to put her in the pot of boiling water. I remember Dick's Sporting Goods specifically. He was holding her when she was a newborn looking at fishing poles and it's an upstairs level. And I was convinced he was just going to
Toss her over the side.
to the point where I was on the escalator
Like
coming
on
up.
purpose?
What?
Like on purpose? Or it
Yes.
was just-
Yes. And I was on the escalator coming up, watching him down in the fetal position, screaming. And he's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" I mean, it was very intense. So I did do a past life regression with her, but we also went
were
to
at
a psychic.
It was for your birthday.
It was my birthday.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And we went to one voodoo gem
One
shop
voodoo- yep,
in Village
yep.
Gate Mall.
Yep. But her reading of me was that I was the one that put Sawyer in a cauldron and burned her
On purpose.
Cauldron?
on purpose. Yes. So it's
you a
more me,
witch?
not Philip.
Yep. And so she said, I have this really strong protection of my daughter. Can you tell me where that's coming from? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. You put her in a cauldron and you burned her to death 800 years ago.
I was going to say cauldrons aren't like used,
No.
used in
Oh no, this is
kitchens
way,
these
way,
days.
way, way, way long ago. And my
Sorry.
past life regression with my hypnotherapist was that Philip and I had been married multiple times previously, and Sawyer was one of our children, and he and her were out doing something like this is like medieval times or whatever, and he wasn't watching her appropriately, and she ended up dying. And so that was through my hypnotherapist.
So this psychic shares all of this stuff with Rebecca. She's in a pure panic and sweat.
Right.
And then without skipping a beat, the woman turns to me and she's like, I see a lot of success in your future, and you're definitely going to be retired by the age of 45.
Yep.
Like, oh my God.
Yep,
And
it
so
was
I'm
great.
like side eye looking out,
Right. It was quite funny.
Just so we're clear, Taylor, you've been my child in a former life.
That's right.
That's the connection I have with you. And I'm sorry that you got the short end of the stick this time through.
That's right. Taylor's going to be very successful.
Ooh, what is this smells like?
Oh, okay.
This one smells.
Get your orange rock.
I don't like that.
You need it.
I don't like that.
W's.
I know. No W's. Thank you. See, Taylor knows. Taylor knows no W's. That's
right.
what she
I
said.
think I flashed
She
it
knows.
once. Flashed it
Yep,
with the
you
W.
did. You flashed your W's to me once, and what happened?
Okay, so this is creativity.
Oh,
All right. This
Yeah.
is the second chakra, and it's located in the sacral area above the pelvic bone.
another pelvic bone. A lot happens there, apparently.
What do we say this word is? Swahistana?
Yeah.
Swahistana is the nerve center for creativity and sexuality. No wonder you're anti.
Yeah, no wonder.
You're
no
like
wonder.
the least creative.
Smells like garbage.
Maybe you should roll it all over.
I have a feeling if Mark smelled this too, he'd be like, "Why do you smell like that? It's disgusting."
As human beings, creativity is part of our nature and is expressed through sexual procreation and also transformation of physical or mental materials into something new using our creative energies. Alignment of the chakra help us lead to a healthy sexual life, respect our bodies, and maintain creative expression.
I'm coming for you, Mark. Oh, it's not good.
Oh, it smells great.
Oh my gosh. Here, can you take this top?
I'm trying to see
What color?
kind.
Orange right here?
The orange, yeah.
Oh, I do not.
Oh, I love it. It's borderline orange. It's got an orange smell. It doesn't
I feel
say.
like this angle is not good today. Is my chair too high? I got to bring it down a little bit. It's not okay. Was like, why did I now have 6 chins?
I know. I look like a linebacker.
It's not it. It's not good.
It's okay.
not good.
It's okay. So
I gotta I'm gonna do the rest of the show like this. So yeah, I just can't give me a good angle. Jeez.
okay, so that's that. Go ahead, read your affirmation.
I am just getting started. I know that each breath confirms that I am alive and far from finished.
That's a good one.
I am just getting started. I know that each breath confirms that I am alive and far from finished.
You need to embrace that.
I am further from finished than you are, old gal.
Maybe that means that you're just gonna have another baby.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Why don't you smell that?
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Yeah.
reject. I reject my sexuality. I reject it. Hilarious.
So yesterday we're in the car and I'm listening to one of our podcast episodes. Carter's like, "Mom, you're so famous." I'm like, "Thanks, honey." He's like, "You ever talk about me on there?" I said, I do talk about you. He's like, "Could you fast forward to the part where you talk about me?" So he ends up getting out because he has date night with Aunt Nina last night. So he ends up getting out and then the part about him comes on. And I'm like, good thing he wasn't in here for this. Because I'm like, oh my God, he's my heart. I love him so much, that little shit. He's just like totally like all over the place.
Tell the story. Tell the story of when you're in bed and you're talking about the if this or that.
Which, oh,
Yeah, tell that story.
oh my God. So, gosh, that was at least 6 or 8 months ago. That was a while ago.
Hilarious.
And,
Because he's scared of me.
I do this thing with Carter where he likes to play this like this or that, like pick one, right?
would you
If
rather,
had,
or-
would you had to do this, then which one would you do? And so I think he's the one who initiated it.
Yeah, he did.
Right? He said, "Mom, who's prettier, you or Aunt Beck?" And I'm like, oh, here we go. And so I said, "You know what, honey? I think that we're both pretty in our own ways." And he's like, "No, Mom, it's Aunt Beck."
What We peed our pants
I'm
over
like-
that for so long.
I'm like looking at him, like he is deadpan. He is so serious.
Right.
He's so serious. I'm
know.
like, oh, thank you. Okay. Like, good night. You shut the door.
Which is so funny because
Sure.
he's scared of me. So I think it's hilarious.
Mom, it's Aunt Beck. It's Aunt Beck, just so we're clear. Okay. Why'd you ask the question then?
Right.
Jerk.
Whatever. It cracks me up. Oh, God. All right. So
all right.
back to our.
Oh, yeah. Where are we at with our intention
Voodoo?
or our voodoo card?
So Taylor picked it today, and I think this is so perfect for her. So she is in 9th grade.
I really
She's
can't get these
14.
angles right. I am so sorry.
Turn
You
this
are
way.
now so much taller than I am. I don't like how I feel.
Stop moving.
God. I'm sorry, Scott. Like, this is not okay. Okay.
There.
Okay.
You good now?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, got my chin
Wear a
up.
turtleneck.
I know. You're not kidding.
All right. So she picked this. She's 14 and in high school. And she picked the Page of Swords.
Here we go. This is where your mother attempts to
This
read,
is so small.
but she
I'm
can't,
going to
and
bring
then
in my
she's-
mermaid ones. They're
there
so
is,
much bigger.
For sure. At least 6 different excuses she has about why she can't read it. It's fine.
Look how little. I mean, people, come on. All right. The Page of Swords. A young page bounds through the clouds, fearlessly at play with his new training sword. He doesn't truly know how to wield the sword yet, but he can feel the power and magic coursing through the sacred object. He's determined, moldable, and ready to learn. The Page of Swords invites you to be open-minded and adaptable. This is the time to break free from your usual thought process and consider how to approach things in a different way. As you pursue new ideas, be humble and willing to learn. The Page of Swords is determined, but largely untrained. He tells you that there is much you don't know, and it will benefit you to seek training or teachings outside of yourself. With enthusiasm and openness, you will take on your new ideas to great heights. The Page of Swords may embody a part of you or another person in your life, and it will depend on your reading what makes sense to you. And I think that's perfect for her because she's right. You're at the beginning of your new journey. Your new journey. You're really discovering who you are as a person. You're discovering things that make you excited and potentially exploring career paths. And I
know
think
what career path you're not exploring? Getting out of gym class with that boot on your foot. Right? And why don't you
right.
tell that story?
That's
why
right.
don't you tell poor Taylor's over here, like, so what do I do? Just take a 0 for gym? And what was your response?
I go, absolutely not. You're not taking a 0 for gym because
Right.
you have a hurt foot.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I go, I guess
not
we
just
gotta
a
go
hurt
get
foot, just so we're clear, there's like a bone fragment
Yeah.
like busted off in her foot.
Yeah, it was. She was like, "Well, what am I gonna do?" And I go, "Well, you're not gonna play soccer for 2 weeks. Clearly, you have a hurt ankle." And she goes, "Well, what about gym?" She goes, "I guess I'll just take a 0." I'm like, "Absolutely not. You're not taking a 0." I go, "But at the same time, nobody's gonna be like, okay, your mom says you don't have to participate in gym, right?" So I'm like, I guess we got to go to the doctor to like get a doctor's note.
The boot's not enough, just so we're clear. She walks into gym class with that thing on, and the gym teacher's going to be like, get out on the field.
I don't know. Yeah, but she needs a formal excuse.
Okay.
I mean,
so
I
that
guess
she doesn't have to
anybody
go
could,
out and
anybody
sit?
could buy a boot. You can buy that crap on Amazon.
I'm sorry. I forgot that we don't all think like you do, Miss Amazon Returns.
Well, I'm just saying.
How can we skirt the system? That's
Well,
never crossed my mind
Of course,
once.
because you're so goody-goody, you would never do anything bad.
Yeah, because I probably couldn't sleep at night because I have
Probably.
massive diarrhea if I
Probably.
knew I was trying to get out of gym class with my boot on my
Or
foot.
the first thing I'm going to do is, Sawyer's looking at that thinking, what can she do?
Sawyer's like, I try that on?
Yeah.
Can I try that? Oh,
She
I
sure
guarantee
did.
you she
First
did.
thing. And next week, Mom, I got to go to the doctor.
Oh, yeah.
You know
I
what's
hurt
happening.
myself. I hurt myself.
I bet you did.
I can't.
So I was like, oh God, I guess we better go to the doctor. And I'm thinking, I said to the doctor, I'm like, I was very prepared for her not to play sports, but I didn't know how she'd function in life. I never thought about her getting around school. She couldn't walk literally to her bedroom. And I'm like, oh, how's she going to get around school?
How come they didn't give her
Crutches?
Crutches.
Because the boot does
Is
it.
that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crutches wasn't an option.
Maybe we better take a quick break.
You think?
Let's take a moment to thank our sponsor, Concern Center.
Ooh, we like them. They're rethinking how to connect people with the resources and support to live happy, fulfilling lives.
Sounds a lot like our podcast.
Do not push it.
Rebecca, every organization has people that need help finding support. Students, employees, Patience.
I do not need help with patience.
Patience. Concern centers help 3.5 million people find support nationwide, with more becoming a part of it every day.
It sounds a lot like our podcast.
I can't. The More Love podcast is all about people connecting with each other.
So if you or someone you know is involved in a university, a company, or health system that needs a better way to connect people with resources, please reach out to connection@concerncenter.com.
Help us get everyone connected to the help they need.
Well said. So what were we talking about?
Hey, we did it.
We did.
We kind of did it.
We
I'm like,
kinda.
maybe we better take a break.
And I
you looked at me
improvised.
and you were like, all right, I'm ready for a break. What kind of break? We've never
I
done a break
improvised.
before.
I can't.
Oh, you mean you
but
continued on?
you can say I cannot.
Well,
It
I'm
was your.
sorry.
It was your.
Listen, I'm allowed to go off script.
Oh, okay.
But you can't, because I can't pivot from that. I don't know what to do. You are the one out of the two of us who knows how to rebound.
That's true.
I
That's
do
true.
not. I got something for you today.
Okay.
This came in as our first "What should you do?"
Oh,
from a listener.
I love it.
Can you? It's basically Ask Abby.
I love
but
that.
it's Ask Aaron and Rebecca.
Oh, great.
And the way that this came out was she asked me what to do. And I said, I'm not the person to ask about that. That's actually Rebecca. Right? Because I have no clue. I would not be good at this whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
So, are you ready for me to read this question that came in from a listener
Yes, ma'am.
so that we can comment on it?
Should I get my pendulum out?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
She actually would like a pendulum.
You broke it this time.
That makes me feel so much better. What does that mean?
No.
What does that mean?
I think we need a new pendulum.
Oh my God. Pendulum fell off. That's not good. Okay.
I don't have my nail glue. Nope, I don't think I can ask the pendulum.
I
got-
fixed it last time.
Yeah, but now the pieces. Okay, hold on. Go ahead and
Okay.
read.
Are you
I'll
ready?
try to twist her in.
Here's the
She good.
question.
She good.
Here's the Ask Rebecca and Aaron.
Okay.
What do you do when your empathy puts you in a situation where you feel uncomfortable? Recently, a past coworker of mine randomly reached out via text asking if we could get together.
Did you say an ex-coworker?
Yes.
Okay.
Past coworker.
Okay.
He said he was going through something where he wanted to surround himself with positive people and, quote, just needed a friend. Through our text exchange, he explained that he is going through a divorce and it was a hard time for him. My empathy springs into action and I offer to meet him out for lunch or coffee sometime. His reply to my invitation was that he would prefer to come over to my house. This request, your face is classic. This request might not seem weird if a close friend asked this of me, but I have only talked to this guy a few times in the past 4-ish years after he left the company we both worked at together. We also were never exceptionally close. We just saw each other at work every now and then and never hung out socially. After he left the company, he sent me a few hello texts just to keep in touch. He's been very persistent about making plans, and he checks in with me now every few days. I started to feel uncomfortable about getting together with him because of his persistence and saying he wanted to come to my house. I have asked a few friends. Oh, I think, hang on. Freaking hate that.
I don't know why it does
Can't
that.
stand it when it does that.
Jumps. Ugh. Taylor, come on.
Okay, he's been very persistent about making plans and checks in every few days. I started to feel uncomfortable about getting together with him because of his persistence in saying he wanted to come to my house. I have asked a few friends who also used to work with him about this situation. They find it strange and suggest not getting together with him. Mm-hmm. My husband also feels
Oh,
uncomfortable.
she married. Mm-hmm. Okay. That right there is the ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
My husband also feels uncomfortable about it, saying that it almost sounds like this guy is trying to date me and it's inappropriate. Mm-hmm. Although I feel for him and his situation and I would love to offer support for him, I don't really want to follow through on plans with him due to my comfort level at this point. So this is where I feel like my empathy for him has gotten me into a situation where I feel uncomfortable. I'd be interested to hear both your and Rebecca's thoughts on this situation. If needed, please ask the pendulum. Many thanks to my empathy superheroes.
Well, we're going to start right with the pendulum. I love that.
That's good, right?
I mean, that's great. I
That's
mean,
a
I have
good one.
I have all the things to say.
This is why I said you can't ask me, but you can ask Rebecca.
All right, so
you're
we're
going to
gonna-
ask the pendulum.
We're going to ask the pendulum
Wait,
first.
I have to tell you something Kelly up the street said.
What?
She said she's like a third degree witch or something like
Great.
that.
We
Yeah.
should have her on and do.
She
we should,
won't.
she should,
I've already asked.
She won't do the
come
hippie
on.
voodoo shoot.
She will not come on.
What if she just sits in the corner and just
She
does the
won't.
hippie voodoo
She
shit?
won't do it. I've already asked. I've asked all the things.
Okay.
She won't do it.
All right.
So she said, you ask the pendulum, show me yes, show me no.
Oh,
so
right
that
now.
the pendulum
Such a
tells
smart-
you
Okay.
what you're looking for, because I don't know if it changes or whatever. But
That's a really good. Thank you, Kelly up the street.
Thank you, Kelly up the street, for that witch stuff. So-
Pendulum. Show me yes. Do you see it moving back and forth?
It's going back and forth. Okay.
Pendulum. Show me no.
Yeah.
It's doing the circle.
Yeah.
Now that's how I do it.
Okay.
That's how it does it for me at home. Do you see
Okay.
the circle? Is that not
Okay.
freaking you out?
No,
I'm.
not at all. I feel nothing.
So you're
Dead inside.
you're all in.
I'm
Okay.
dead
Are we
inside.
ready? We're going to ask.
We're going to ask for
Just-
our listener.
Yes.
Should
Should-
she get together with ex-coworker?
Oh, hell no.
It says no.
Oh, big time no.
Big time no. Wait, I have more questions.
Okay.
Should she continue engaging through text with him? Whoa, look at that.
Wow.
It's saying yes. I'm really surprised.
Me too. I disagree.
I disagree too. Should she cut ties with this guy nicely? It's saying no.
Wow.
Wait, is this guy romantically interested in her? Saying no. Clearly saying no. Look at that.
Yeah.
What if you had that hanging from something that wasn't moving, like your arm? Like if you were to hang it from,
Scott,
I'm not saying right now.
this
I'm
is
just
what
curious.
this is absolutely what I love. You realize that if she puts that on something that is not moving,
It's
like
not
her
gonna move.
arm, the whole hippie voodoo shit goes right down the tubes.
Do you want to take it and ask the questions? Here
Okay,
you go.
here we go, Scott. You got me right in the frickin' middle here. Are we clear?
Well, because he's trying to prove he doesn't want people to think that I'm moving it. Mm-hmm. Do you want to do it?
Yeah, because
Or do you want Taylor to do it?
because my arm doesn't move either.
Well, if she does it, we can't see or hear her, so let's skip that part.
Can't.
What are we asking? Should she meet up in person with her ex-coworker? It's
Oh,
circling.
it's circling.
See? That's saying no. Should she cut all ties with this guy? It's still saying no.
Circling.
Stop with the face. What was the other question we asked?
What was her empathy for him?
Because
Why-
she feels bad he's going through a hard time.
He's having a hard time.
a divorce,
Oh, he's going through a divorce.
right?
And
Yes.
this practical stranger is the only person that he can turn to?
Exactly.
I find that a little odd.
You find that odd? This is the
Yes,
story
I
of my
do.
damn life, Scott.
And insisting that he meet in her home.
Yeah, that was
That's weird.
yeah. I
Now
agree.
it's circling. It's saying no.
No, we're not
Mayday,
going to the home.
mayday.
Not going to the home. Go
All
to
right.
Panera. Go to Panera. That's what it's saying. Okay.
So okay.
Okay.
Do you want to
can't-
go or me?
I would love for you to start because I actually think we might be a little more aligned on this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would love to talk about why we're more aligned. First of all, I'd like to really thank our listener for
Yes.
writing in and asking for the expertise of the two people here, Erin and Rebecca.
Yeah.
We really appreciate that. We do pride ourselves on having all of the answers for all of life's empathy questions and
right.
concerns.
That's
so,
right.
please feel free to write in. If you like today's show, you can comment on www.themorelovepodcast.com
Or
just send us an email at themorelovepodcast@gmail.com.
Or text us if you know our numbers.
Or probably just text us. 'Cause that's how many listeners we have.
That's right. That's
fine.
right. That's right.
Okay.
Okay. So I do have more follow-up questions. And do you know this person personally?
Yes.
So you probably might have the answers.
I might.
What type of career? Like, what was their career that they worked in together? Was it an office?
Yeah, like an office setting.
Like
It was not like a higher ed, communal. It's just your standard
Like data entry, like
office-y place.
So there wouldn't have been necessarily many opportunities to have meaningful conversations with people unless you did it on purpose.
Yes. And I would say, if I'm remembering correctly, she said that essentially they would, talk or hang out and not hang out.
What,
but
like the water cooler? Like we saw each other getting coffee?
Like colleagues, like classic colleagues.
Right. But
Now,
they're
she
not
did
having
tell
lunch
me-
together a couple times a week and talking
No.
about their personal lives. Like,
No, but
okay.
she would tell me that he would do things like, one of those lifts that you would go up on to get the boxes that were really high in the warehouse. He would go up on the lift and then would look down at her and would be like, hi, all the time while she was working. So there's something there about, an interest level of some type is my gut sense. So this is someone who probably, my guess is, doesn't have a whole bunch of close connections, doesn't really know how to make social relationships with people, doesn't have a lot of people, but then is going to glom on to the people that are giving any type of attention whatsoever. That's my gut sense. But it's not like we're best of friend colleagues and we hang out. No.
We were like what we refer to as a work husband and wife.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Because I've had
No.
many work husbands in my time.
Yes.
And so
No.
us getting together outside of work wouldn't have been weird.
Correct.
And my husband knew them, like all the things. Okay. So absolutely not getting together with him.
At all.
No. Nothing
Would
she's
you
going to
have-
say or do is going to help him.
Okay. Would you have, before he said, I would really love to just meet you at your house, you would have gotten together with him?
No.
Oh, you weren't getting together with this guy no matter what.
That
We don't
seems
work
just
together
like-
anymore. We don't need to be friends.
That's so weird.
Classic. It's
We're
absolutely
done working
classic.
together. We're all done. I mean, we can be nice to each other, but we're done. We were friends at work because it was work. Now we're done.
Classic. That is so you.
Why do I need to maintain a relationship, especially because I don't know you anymore? Now, if there was a bigger relationship there and it was already have been being maintained throughout the years, it's a very different story. But you said that she had been gone for a while, right?
4 years.
4 years, and they would just casually interact.
Casual hellos.
Right. So that's weird. That's your casual relationship. Yeah, we're kind. We had a I shouldn't say a thing. That's not what I mean, but you were colleagues. You don't need
So-
to like be mean to each other, but you certainly do not need to go out of your way to help someone through a divorce that you know nothing about.
So this guy reaches out to you 4 years after you've worked with him and is like, hey, Rebecca, stuff's really tough right now. I know we weren't super close when we worked together, but I just really would love to. I've always appreciated you. I've appreciated your insight. I'd love to talk to you about some stuff. I am going through a divorce right now. I was just wondering, like, could we get together? Could I run some things past you? What do you do with that text message?
I call you and have you write it, and then I copy it and paste it and send it. And the gist of it is, I really appreciate you thinking of me, and I'm going to try to do what you would say. I really appreciate you thinking of me and that I might be able to help you through this. However, as sorry as I am that you're going through this, my life is extremely full right now and I just don't have the capacity. So I wish you well.
I could
Bye.
cry. I could cry.
I would never say that shit.
That is perfect.
But I do learn from
You
you.
did such a great job. If you had not asked me what to say, what would yours say?
I would immediately call you and be like, you need to hear this crazy shit.
Yep. And then
then
you would never respond.
Nope.
Oh, I didn't get the message.
And then I would immediately block the number.
Yep. I know you would.
Sorry.
So there's no part of you that feels empathy for the fact that this person is
Yes.
going through a hard time.
Oh, no, I do feel empathy. I do.
Okay.
I feel that really sucks. I'm really sorry, but I do not need to be a part of that.
fascinating. Talk more about that, because I think that's the crux for people with a tremendous amount of empathy. The problem for us is we feel a whole bunch of empathy, and then we feel like if we do not assist in that empathy situation, we are somehow doing a disservice, that person is not going to be okay, that we're going to have that on our minds, that we did not assist. That's the part you don't have. You have the empathy. I'm really sorry you're going through a divorce. That's really hard.
That really sucks.
But what's the turn it off that comes from? What is it about you that feels like you don't have to help, assist, manage, support, or care for that person?
I am very, very crystal clear on my values. And when I look at my to-do list and I look at who comes first, my husband, my children, my inner circle, my work, that
Your
kind
husband,
of stuff.
Your children, me,
Yes.
your inner circle. I'm
My
sorry, I
inner
just
circle.
didn't know if I heard you right. Okay.
Aaron, my husband,
Yeah,
my
right.
children. Yeah. I'm very clear that, and then I look at my calendar and my schedule and what my priorities are. And I am much more interested in watching TV with my husband than I am engaging with your crazy ass shit. And I
Okay.
just have no desire to do it because it is taking away from what I really want to do.
What if you won the lottery? A better scenario would be, what if I won the lottery and I just took care of you for the rest of your life? You never had to work another day in your life. You send the kids to school. Your husband still loves to work because he's weird like that. And you're like, all I can do, how many times can one person go to Hobby Lobby in 1 week? Right?
I mean,
how many times, right? You have all the time in the world. Are you engaging with this person?
in this scenario, this exact scenario.
Someone who contacts you from your
Out of the
past.
blue. No.
You're still not.
No.
Okay, then you got to dig deeper for me, because yes, it's about values, but there's something else that's keeping you from engaging. Because in that second scenario, you don't care
About my time?
that you have all the time in the world. You have all the time in the world to be able to dedicate to this someone. You're still not doing it. Why?
It's an energy suck. It doesn't matter what I have to say to you. I can be as empathetic. I can give you advice. I can do all those things, but I know deep down you're not going to do any of that, and you just want my time. And I don't want to give you time.
So
Because if I did, I would have been giving you time this whole entire time that we weren't working together. I would have had a relationship with you, but I don't. So why would I go that next level of depth when you're just a colleague?
you don't feel the need to have to share your energy
No.
with anyone, with just anyone.
Correct.
That is a difference. And
I
for
do not.
me, as well
Especially
as
if
for
you're a
this
stranger.
person, I feel that it feels, at least to me, like I have to, or I owe it to support this person with energy. Now you're really teaching me
But
to
wait,
preserve.
are you nailing it in every other aspect of your life? Are you nailing it? Like your husband feels 100% fulfilled, your parents, your best friends, everybody else feels 100%
No.
fulfilled. Then why so you're
So
going to
you're-
continue to let that be
Because it's easier
messy?
for me.
Nope.
Yeah,
Nope.
it's easier
That's your
for
problem.
me.
That's your savior complex.
It's
That's your
easier.
problem.
It's
Nope.
easier to give to the people who need it that are separate than it is for me to dive deeper into the empathy of the people who need me to be there.
That's your problem. Right
Because
there.
in some ways, I think that's fascinating. In some ways, I feel like I do give a ton of empathy.
Of course you do.
And that it's not always either reciprocated or I'm not. I feel like at some point I'm like, how much more do I give? Right. And so it's not as rewarding to me as when I give it to
Ding, ding,
random
ding.
coworker.
You just nailed it.
It's about
Rewarding.
reward.
It's your savior complex. That's what makes you fulfilled. It's like a mini high.
It is like a mini high.
And that is an energy suck for me.
So I'm getting secondarily rewarded from helping someone.
Especially if it's pissing your husband off. Because clearly she talked to her husband about it and her husband said, what the hell? Now, number one value is your husband. If he has a problem with it, you cut that shit off immediately. If you're toddling back and forth, then you really got to look inside yourself.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Oh, yes. If I said to my husband, I'm very uncomfortable with that, and he didn't cut shit off, we got big problems.
Interesting.
Because where does your values lie?
Is this really fascinating? I would feel that way if Mark was talking to some coworker and I'm like, absolutely not. We're not doing that. Stop that right now. And if he didn't stop, but if it was the other way around, I'd be like, I got this. I don't need you to tell me what to do. I'm in control of this situation.
Because you get high off of it.
Isn't that fascinating?
But that's where you really need to look into the real reason. Because you can very clearly give 2-sentence advice to that person. You don't need to sit down with them. This is how I feel about protecting you all the time. You don't need to sit down with people. You don't need to have conversations with them. They can get the same information from someone else, somewhere else, over and over and over again. It's something about being in your presence. It's something about whatever it is. And unfortunately.
So you're saying in this situation that this individual targeted this woman knowing she's like me. She's actually nicer than me.
I don't know that if it was a target.
Okay.
He probably
My
reached out to
guess
her
would
knowing
be-
that she probably made him feel good.
Right.
And made him feel seen.
That's what I mean about right.
Yeah.
He's not just randomly reaching out to his old supervisor, right? He's like, I have a connection with this woman from my past because even though in her mind it was this fleeting connection, in his mind it was, this is someone who makes me feel seen, which happens a lot to me, right? As well as it happens to this other woman because you're a listener, you care, you don't want to be rude to people, you don't want to make people feel uncomfortable, right? But then at some point that can transition into, well, now I'm uncomfortable or now I gotta go and now I can't break it off because that person is so into that conversation that now you almost feel bad and indebted to the fact that you've not engaged enough with them, right? And this is where the cutting your nose off to spite your face comes in.
That's right.
So your tactic of, we just don't even get involved in the first place because we know, well, I'm eventually going to end up down the rabbit hole is not a bad tactic. And to be fair, one that I really am trying to hone.
You're doing great.
Thank you.
In a lot of ways.
Thank you. I'm doing 2 things differently. One, I'm setting up that boundary earlier so that I'm saying things like, this sounds really difficult. You know, have you spoken with a therapist about this? Have you, whatever. Specifically for people who aren't in my inner circle. So I'm setting up a boundary and I'm closing down conversations earlier. I am doing better about that. And then the second thing I'm doing is I'm really trying to dissect what it feels like in my body when I have free time and when I'm comfortable with it.
So that's your first step is acknowledgement.
Yes.
That you've acknowledged that most people aren't even at that point where they can acknowledge that they're hiding in work or they're hiding in social media or they're hiding in ASMR.
Yep.
YouTube
Esthetician
stuff.
Yep.
They're hiding. They're not aligning with their actual values because I guarantee those people will say, well, family is my number one value. Really? What is your calendar? How does your calendar reflect that? How much time are you spending with your family?
You say that all the time.
Oh, okay. So is family really your value? And it's okay if it's not, but you have to get aligned.
Yeah.
That you have to get aligned in your heart with your values and where you spend your time.
Stop being fake about your values.
Right. And if
right?
your value
You're only
is
fooling yourself.
That's right. And at the end of the day, whatever you value is fine.
That's right.
If you value money and you will do anything to get money,
That's
I'm
right.
on board with
Own
that.
it. Yep.
Just own it. Yes.
Yep. But
and
know that if
you laugh at me all the time. You'll be like, can you go on this overnight with me? And I'm like, no. And you're like, why? And I'm like, because it's my daughter's JV soccer game. And you're like, how many games does she have? And I'm like, 15. And you're like, you can't miss one? No.
I can't.
My number one priority is being there for my children.
Somehow I manipulate you into going with me or something happens
But
anyway.
I have to have that conversation because that is my number one. I am the one who I want to take them to every practice. That is a huge priority for me. Every single dance class, I'm sitting in the waiting room. I do not drop them off and come and pick them up. No. But that's my value. Do I do other things with them? Sure. But at the end of the day, my calendar reflects my values for the most part. So.
And part of what I'm really trying to lean into is I like to be going. I like to be doing. I don't like to be idle. I like to be creative. I like to, put out into the world as much goodness as I possibly can.
Nailing it.
Where that has been sort of off kilter for a while is that I was pushing so much out and connecting so much with other people and doing the podcast and doing my business and supporting the charity and doing all of these things that I was completely out of alignment to the point where I wasn't sleeping very well at night. I was stressed during the day. I was getting too short with my family. I was not, taking the time that I needed to sit with my family or invest in them or whatever. And for me, it has been a bit of a values clarification, but it's also been about what does it feel like to sit in the discomfort of not doing and why are we uncomfortable not doing? And I think in some ways that's connected to the savior complex.
Sure.
Because if my worth and my value comes from how much I give to others and I'm sitting on the couch watching Cops, I'm not giving. And if I'm not giving, then there's an impact on my value, my ability to connect with other people. That is what I've really honed in the last, I'd say 3 weeks, just not raising my hand to participate, not being the person who's like, I'll take care of that. Right. Letting other people step in and take care of some things for me, even if that means that I feel like I could take that on, but yet it's important for that other person to take on. So I've been on this very interesting journey over the last 3 or 4 weeks associated with that.
I have to interrupt you. If you were to take a survey from your husband and your son and just say, rate me on a scale of 1 to 10 as a wife and meeting your needs. Rate me on a scale of 1 to 10 as a mom, meeting your needs. And if you're nailing it there, that's awesome. But if your son comes to you and says, yeah, Mom, you're the love of my life, but you really only have 5 because you're not home or you're always on the phone working or whatever, that will also be a very clear indicator.
Absolutely.
Now, we're not going to ask those questions because you don't want to hear, the answers.
Well, I didn't have to ask the question because my son continued to come in every single day he got home from school and he would start to make comments like, you're always working. How come you have to work so much?
Yeah.
What is it that you do at your job? I don't want to do that when I get older because all you do is work. Right. And then I started to hear very clearly and I'm like, you got to get this together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because yes, there is a lot of work to be done. And the reality is it's still going to be there tomorrow.
That's right. That's
you
right.
know?
But this ex-coworker from 4 years ago doesn't need that evening at my house when my son does.
Yeah. Right. And in this scenario, putting the boundary on not needing to be the person that this person comes to.
Right.
And instead questioning, why is it that we feel we have to show up for people who have not at all shown up for us or been a part of our life for however many years?
That's what I mean. It would be very different if it was your work husband that every single day you went to lunch. Every single day you had conversations with, they knew the inner workings of your relationship. Maybe you had insight to why their marriage fell apart. None of that exists. None of that.
And the reality is that this is what strongly empathic people do is they feel like they have to give to these people who were an otherwise meaningless, right, to their life. We just can't admit that because it sounds mean, right? But
it's
the
not
theme
mean.
of what
it's not mean.
It's just honest.
It's just reality.
It's just the reality.
Yeah, it's not mean.
But
sometimes honesty and sometimes reality can come across as hurtful. It's just like with life, there's going to be disappointments all the time. And that's okay. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay not to get what you want. At the end of the day, you need to make choices and decisions that reflect your values. I don't know how else to say it.
And
because
I think
otherwise you're not authentic.
That keeps coming up a lot in these episodes is look at you.
Yeah.
Look at you. It's so easy to say, oh my gosh, what about this guy? How come he's contacting us? How come this, right? Why are you feeling like that is a real question we should be asking. Why and I'm in the same boat
I know.
that this girl is,
I
right?
know.
So
and you definitely don't listen to me when I tell you what to do.
I do, or else I wouldn't be where I am right now.
It only took 20 years.
Well, some of us are slower learners than others. Jeez. But yes, right? Look at you. Look at you. And the first question you should be asking yourself is, what is it about me that doesn't allow this situation to unfold in a different way? And do I like that about myself? What need am I fulfilling at the end of the day? And if I don't like that about myself and I'm still doing it, which was the place where I was, what do I need to change?
Right.
What needs to be different? That's where the work is. It's that saying, when one finger's pointed this way, there's three fingers pointed back at you.
I've never heard that.
Oh, really?
That's a great
One
saying.
finger pointing this way, three pointing back at you, right? So what is it about you? And that's the work. That's the hard
big
work.
That's
right?
the big work.
That's where
Because
change happens.
Even when you do feel confident in your decision to shut this guy down, it's still going to feel mean. It's always going to feel mean because you weren't giving. You don't need to always be giving. You don't.
Yep.
And it's okay.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, you have to think about the other things in your life and what's more important.
You don't need to always be giving.
No.
I think that's a amazing message. I completely agree. So your final statement to this listener who asked us for advice is what?
My advice is to really look at yourself and really, really decide what you want to do. And then couch that for a minute. Because you already brought your husband into it, have a conversation with your husband, because I think that's also going to be a major part of it. When you're a team and you're a partnership, and that's what husbands and wives do, at the end of the day, you need to honor each other. And so if he was like, you know what, if you feel like you need to help this person, go right ahead. Then go back to your couch and pick up what your decision was. If your husband says, absolutely not, I'm very uncomfortable with this, I do not want you to meet them in person, but if you feel the need to have a text message conversation, whatever, I mean, again, you got to figure out what's okay in your relationship. Then go back to your couch, statement, pick it up and really think about that. And then in what feels genuine to you, respond to that person in some capacity. I can't tell you what to say because I would shut it off immediately or just ignore because I don't have time. I barely have time to get my life together. So I just don't have that time. But if that's uncomfortable for you, you need to do something that is comfortable for you, but still honors all the boundaries and the values. And it's a practice. You know how people say you practice law? You're practicing and honoring your value system. I really think at the end of the day, people do not truly sit with what their values are and define them. So that would be my first advice.
I think that would be my advice related to that would be, let's use this as an opportunity to practice how we set boundaries with someone at the end of the day, that it's not gonna matter, right? It's not like he's showing up at your house.
It's not even about this one person.
Right.
It's about all the other.
But we can practice with this
People.
person.
That's
Let's
right.
see that as a gift to practice with someone, how we set a better boundary. And then the other thing I would say is trust your gut.
Absolutely.
If there is something about this situation that is making you feel uncomfortable, that is like, ugh, that doesn't sit right with me, you don't need to give an excuse or
No.
a reason to anyone.
No.
You can simply say, something about this situation isn't sitting right with me. And I'm not going to be able to continue this conversation. That does not mean, however, I don't wish you the absolute best and hope everything is going to be great for you.
Exactly.
My best to you.
Yep.
Shut down, block,
Moving
all
on.
done.
And
Right.
I the reason I use the word block is because if you don't, you're still leaving that window open.
Well, those
And
of
it's
us
a
with tons of
temptation.
empathy, you
Yes.
have to.
It's a temptation. It's a slippery slope to get sucked back in. Boundaries are hard.
Yeah.
They're really hard because they feel mean.
Sometimes out
It's
of
not
sight,
mean.
out of mind is helpful.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of blocked people in my life
Yep.
on purpose.
Yep. Good luck blocking me. I'm going to show up at your front door, knocking on that door, 2:00 in the morning.
That's right.
You got me blocked? You got me blocked? Oh my God. So if that went well, we'll get some feedback from the listener.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Send us your questions,
Oh, yeah.
your
This is great.
concerns, this is our Ask Abby hour, except it's Ask Aaron and Rebecca.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you for joining us today, and
Ta-ta for now.
see you next Tuesday.
I loved that.
Me too. Isn't empathy amazing?
Well, we're amazing. I don't know about all this empathy stuff.
That's fine. I accept you wherever you are.
Oh, God.
I love you.
I love you too.
And if you love us, please like and subscribe to More Love, the Power of Empathy podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
See you next time.